Afternoon in the low to mid 80s. We will dry out tonight under partly cloudy sky, and overnight low will drop down into the upper 60s. Friday, a whole lot of sunshine, our high in the upper 80s to near 90 degrees. I'm Sally Russell with your forecast on ESPN Arkansas.
Weather is brought to you by Harry Robinson Buick GMC, where you always get more for your trade. Exit 11 off I-540 in Fort Smith. You can shop anytime at harryrobinson.com.
ESPN
radio station.
KERX Paris Fort Smith from the Bush and Bushlight Studios. This is ESPN 95.3.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Broadcasting live from the Bud Light Studio.
I love Arkansas! I love everything here! Give me that thing here! Woo!
On your favorite Arkansas sports talk station.
Why did that happen in Fayetteville, Arkansas?
Dixon Street. It'll get you.
Streaming live from
HitThatLine.com.
You
want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
This is Halftime.
Man, that ball got out of here in a hurry.
With Phil Elson.
You do a fantastic job on the radio. There's no one else in this league I'd rather listen to, so keep up the good work.
And Ty Richardson.
Guys do a good job, and I'll listen to you guys.
2 more quarters, and after that, most of you will never play this game again.
D-Mac, hold on, Matt Ryan. D-Mac not looking back, touchdown.
How about that Heisman, Mark Jones?
How do you like
it? Wide open again.
All right, hold on, it's almost halftime.
Oh, it's a beautiful day, and we welcome you inside our ESPN Arkansas studios for a Thursday edition of Halftime here on ESPN Arkansas and HitThatLine.com. Phil Elson here. I am still in the DFW Metroplex. Not for the Arkansas-Texas A&M game. We're going to get out of town today, heading back to the natural state.
Missing the best part, dude.
That's right. Heading home is the best part. Why would I want to stick around for a football game on Saturday? I mean, I've been next door. I've been practically next door to the football stadium for the last couple of nights at the Texas Rangers and Boston Red Sox series. Sox taking the first 2 and looking to close out a series sweep later on. And had a chance to go in the booth yesterday with my friend Matt Hicks, who does radio for the Texas Rangers. Met Eric Nadel, legendary radio guy for the Rangers. So it's funny. We've been talking football for this entire week and really for the last 2 months, but this is like the first time that I've had a chance, Ty, to sit back and watch a little baseball and enjoy it instead of, just analyze everything. Not like I don't enjoy doing Arkansas baseball games or talking about it and analyzing it, but it's really nice to just kind of sit there and watch the game and not feel like you got to talk through the entire thing and pay attention to everything. You actually have a conversation with the person you're sitting next to, and that person hadn't been Bubba Carpenter. So, I don't know. It's been a lot of fun.
Did you find yourself doing that mid-Rangers game, calling hits, calling bunts, calling things that were come out, or was it pretty natural for you not to say anything at all?
No, I can shut up if I have to. If I'm sitting there by myself, it'd feel a little bit different. But if I've got lovely lady came with me, so if she's sitting there next to me, I don't feel weird about sitting there not talking, pitch by pitch with the game. But we were paying attention. It was a lot of fun. It was good. And this is the time of the year in baseball when, especially teams like Boston and Texas, who've been out of contention now. They're kind of emptying the bench. It's pitching change after pitching change after pitching change. Guys getting their feet wet after coming up from the minor leagues. We did see Andrew Benintendi for a couple of games. He hasn't had the best season, but he has had a couple of good games here. And at this point, these are, Texas wasn't a team that I think expected to contend. Boston obviously did as a defending world champion, but things haven't worked out the way that they want. Injuries are part of that for Boston, and just a lack of good pitching more than anything else. Injuries are the main topic of our conversation involving Arkansas football to get our show started here on Halftime. And yes, BE from Clarksville, it is fun being a spectator every once in a while, which I don't really get a chance to do. BE from Clarksville, our first texter on the Cherokee Casino hotline. Let's see if we've got an answer to the question that Ty posed today on our halftime poll. How much have injuries affected Arkansas football? And, it's 4 weeks into the season now, so at this point you would expect that injuries would affect almost any football team. It's the nature of the sport. But that was one aspect, Ty, going into the season that you knew that Arkansas would have trouble covering up the spots that are exposed by some injuries, if that is the case. And so, yes, I think injuries affected Arkansas badly against San Jose State, specifically on the offensive line. without Colton Jackson at the left tackle position. And I think Austin Capps with the first couple of games out with that ankle injury. I think the offensive line's been affected by injuries to a point. Wide receiver's been affected too, with Traylon Burks missing the last game. Of course, Deion Stewart out for the season. Jordan Jones missing the first 4 weeks. Your linebacking core has been hit by injuries. Bumper Poole and Hayden Henry dealing with some nagging injuries. Not the sort of thing that's kept them off the field all that much, but definitely it's affected them. You've had your secondary, I don't think decimated by injuries, but it's definitely affected them. And remember, this is not a team that's blessed with depth, Ty. Isn't that the case? We know this. If you're talking about a team that lost a bunch of players from last year, you've got over 50 players that are freshmen or sophomores, and you're still in rebuild mode. It's the second year of a full rebuild. And so, yes, I think injuries have most definitely affected this Arkansas football team, and they would affect Arkansas in ways that other teams don't get affected. Even just across the SEC West. It's not apples and oranges necessarily to compare Arkansas with Alabama, Ty, but Alabama's been beset by tons of injuries too, defensively. And it's funny when you listen to some of the shows in Alabama, they're all nervous about how these injuries affect Alabama. Yet the Crimson Tide are 4-0 and are cruising right now. I think the SEC West has a couple of teams that can potentially challenge them in Auburn and LSU, but again, that's apples and oranges. If you're talking the oranges, which is Arkansas football, I don't think there's any doubt Arkansas has been affected by injuries, and it's not a team that can really bounce back very well from injuries to their starters, to the playmakers. You just don't have that depth right now.
Yeah, and specifically one group has suffered, I would think, more than anything is the wide receiver position. You lose Deion Stewart before the season, torn ACL. He's out for the year. Jordan Jones is practicing for the first time, but I doubt he plays against Texas A&M on Saturday morning. And you've had Trey Knox with this hip injury. Traylon Burks went through concussion protocol last week. The wide receiver position, you think about even the guys you lost, Jonathan Nance to Missouri, LaMichael Petway to Iowa State, Jared Cornelius to graduation. That's a position group that people were excited for, but now it's been kind of a bummer. And it's not like they haven't exactly blown the doors off or anything, but there's just been a ton of injuries. They've had some drops too, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but just the wide receiver position group, what Stepp's had to go through, Justin Stepp, the wide receivers coach, it's been tough on him, and understandably. You're having to throw these freshmen in who you were hoping you could work in at a slower pace, but they've been tossed in. And now Davion Warren's got a concussion and is probably not even going to play on based on what Chad Morris said yesterday, and I think throughout the week that he's not going to play either. So that is another depth issue there. Really the only guy that you've got consistent production out of is Mike Woods, and that's because he hasn't had injuries. So you hope that doesn't continue, and it's kind of a bummer because it's, I think, affected kind of the growth of this football team on offense.
One position we didn't even mention as far as the injuries, and maybe this affected Arkansas more than any of the other positions, defensive line. It's a pretty inexperienced position right now. You lost one of your most experienced players in Dorian Gerald at the start of the season with that artery strain in his neck. You've had trouble generating a pass rush. Jamario Bell, knee injury, cost him a couple of games. Mm-hmm. You're already Mateo Solium, he's playing with a club on his right hand. It's got to affect him in some ways, I would think. So, really, has there even been one position right now that hasn't affected Arkansas injury-wise? But then again, look, don't you always hear this when you talk about, I don't even think it's just football, but most sports overall. And, of course, we'll think football first and foremost because of the violent nature of the sport and that on every single play there's contact. But injuries are part of football. You're always told that. That's why you've got a giant roster. That's why you need depth at every position. And Arkansas right now, it just doesn't appear to be a team that is built to withstand those sort of injuries. How many times do you hear from a coach, well, you can't blame it on injuries, it's all about next man up. But when next man up doesn't necessarily weigh up to what the next man up on a lot of other teams in your division and other teams that you're even playing right now, what does next man up mean? It means a step down skill-wise, experience-wise, and it also means a step down for your team overall.
Gary in Fort Smith text in on the Cherokee Casino hotline 877-377-6963. He thinks Dorian Gerald's injury has been the most, injury that hurt the most. And he mentions that McTelvin and Geem can now be double teamed, which is true. And I know Nikki talked out about that. I've heard a couple other people talk about that as well. The fact that he's your best defensive lineman and he hasn't been able to be as forceful as some would have thought he was or as he would have liked to because he's getting a lot of the looks. Dorian Gerald was supposed to be one of your premier pass rushers that could able to get to the quarterback. And now that he's out for the season, you don't have that element. Jamario Bell's been injured the majority of the season. He's back now, but he's still trying to get back in the swing of things. And then you look at the freshmen. Yes, these guys might be good down the road, but right now they're just not ready for SEC football. And it starts up front in the trenches, and it's not just going after the quarterback. It's making sure you're running the right stunts. It's making sure that you have gap integrity. I mean, it is a big factor right now, and it's one of the more difficult positions that you get thrust into as a freshman. And that's why Arkansas's defense isn't as good as probably people thought it would be, and then John Chavis obviously wants it to be because they're having to play, just like a wide receiver, some of their least experienced guys on the football team to start out the season, Phil.
Well, and, some people might blame it on other things. Eric in Hot Springs is saying on our text line that he thinks that Arkansas has been outcoached. And maybe you can point to some examples of that being the case. I mean, I would even just look to how Arkansas has come out of the blocks, really, and the first, because has not been a very good first half team, even from the jump. I mean, they had a good first quarter against Colorado State, and that's it. That's been like the only good first quarter or even good part of the first half. So, I mean, you can complain potentially about scheme, about play calling, but there's something about not how the team is prepared throughout the week, but there's something about, I don't know if it's a motivation factor or what can you put it on when a team comes out flat week after week. You've got to be motivated properly. If you're an athlete, you got to be able to motivate yourself. But if a coach, and I mean, Chad Morris said that from last week, if you notice in the pregame warm-ups that there's something off about your club, to me, I mean, you're going to say something about it at that moment, it's too late. And you can't wait till halftime of that game. There's got to be some sort of a shakeup through the week leading into kickoff on Saturday so that these guys are ready, feel that they're ready, come out with a little bit of fire. Because you kind of wonder about the fire of a team to start these games.
And it goes back to the point I made yesterday. If you don't have fire enough to reconcile what you did last season, which is the worst statistical season in Arkansas football history, then what are you doing? And I know some of these freshmen weren't there. I know Ben Hicks, Nick Starkel weren't there, and some other guys. But you have to buy into that mentality. You have to buy into that mindset that even though you weren't a part of it, you now are. And you have to be the team that starts to turn things around. And to this point, you haven't seen that. Yes, you thought they turned the corner against Colorado State, but as many as referred to it as, it was fool's gold. And it's disappointing because fans started to get their hopes up just the slightest bit, and then they got taken back down. But as we started out the conversation on this Thursday, Phil, you just hope you don't get another detrimental injury for this football team because I don't know if they could take it anymore, especially on the defensive line and the wide receiver unit.
Robbie in Virginia Texans saying lack of defensive player development is a serious issue. He says that was the same under Bielema, and he thinks it continues under Chad Morris, whom Robbie calls Mr. Hammer Down. And by the way, Robbie's now in Denver. I know he's active duty military, so he's kind of been moving around a lot. Robbie, appreciate you texting in, and thanks for your service too. Your boy Josefa from Fort Smith. Josefa.
Yeah,
sorry about that.
I mispronounced it the first time when I was talking to him. He gives me a hard time.
For one thing, Josefa, you're calling us the professionals. You need to come up with some different name for me and Ty. That's not the name of the show.
The two people that have a job in this slot is probably the best characterization.
Right. I guess we're professionals if we're paid to speak into these microphones about this stuff. He wants to know, do y'all think this team is worse than last year's? Well, the jury's out. It is. I don't think talent-wise it's worse than last year. But 4 games in, I think the jury's out, and potentially, unless there's a major turnaround right now, I mean, you could end up seeing, the same record. And at the end of the season, you are what your record says. So and he thinks, he listens to us every day. So that makes us professional, right? Did you look at your parents the same way? Professional parents. Hey, look, let's go through. We mentioned these injuries here. And I think Arkansas is going to have a whale of a time against Texas A&M. This is an A&M team, Ty, that is coming here to Arlington, I think, expecting to dominate. We saw the bulletin board, the quote-unquote bulletin board material, that if Arkansas feels that they need to paste or pin up some comments from Houston Chronicle writers or wide receivers for the Aggies, if they got to put that up in the locker room to feel angry and to feel slighted and to feel ready to play, then something's wrong. Because from what you saw last week against the Spartans, this has to be a team that mentally is coming out here ready to give their absolute best. And they're going to have some troubles, I think, against this Aggie team that's going to come in big, physical. They're going to run the ball. Arkansas thin on the defensive line, thin at linebacker right now. I think Kellen Mond is this is an Aggies team that's going to come in angry. And I'm a little nervous about how Arkansas is able to contain Mond, who makes some questionable throws at times, but the kid can run. He can be elusive. And I don't think it's a very good matchup right now.
Here's a guy at SEC Media Days that told reporters he thought he was the best quarterback at the SEC. Now, he hasn't shown it to this point in the biggest games against Auburn and on the road against Clemson, which I know they're incredible, superb defenses. Auburn probably has the best, if not one of the best, defensive lines in college football. And Brent Venables, he knows what he's doing when it comes to defense out there in Clemson, South Carolina. But this guy really hasn't performed that to that point. He needs a kickstart game. He needs one where he can just take off, and you don't want Arkansas to be that. Because last year, Phil, I know they did a pretty decent job running the football, but Kellen Mond threw 2 picks to Dre Greenlaw. They scored, I think it was 24-17, if I remember that correctly. Someone fact-check me on that. So it's not like he was just potent and torching Arkansas last year. He wasn't just mind-blowingly good. And so you kind of, I don't know what Chavis, I'm assuming he's looked at a lot of that film last year, looked a lot of the film of Kellen Mond last year, but you somehow, some way have to pull that out of your butt because the Texas A&M defense is probably going to have a field day on this offense. So you got to keep it, I think, under 30 in order to keep your offense in the football game and give Arkansas a chance because whatever the reason, despite the huge talent discrepancy, Arkansas has played Texas A&M close in every single football game since 2013 outside of the 2016 year where Trevor Knight and Travion Williams really took over in that football game. It's weird, but it just happens sometimes in rivalries. Hopefully it's close tomorrow. You may not get Arkansas to win, but you at least like them to cover, Phil.
Texas A&M has dominated the lower-level opponents in Texas State and Lamar University with the total outscoring of 103-10. But yet, when you're playing against a team called the Tigers in Clemson and Auburn, they've been outscored 52-30. But it's a good defensive team. I mean, and again, you got to take some of these stats with a grain of salt because half of the games have been against way lower-level competition. But the Aggies are 18th in the nation in total defense, allowing 276 yards a game. That's awfully good. It's tough to run against them, 36th in the nation in rush defense and 20th in the nation in passing yards allowed. So this is a team right now that even against that high-powered Clemson offense outgained Clemson by 100 yards. They just couldn't score at all. Our Cherokee Casino hotline is open for a call or a text, and the number is 877-377-6963. First man up today, Robert in Fort Smith. Hi, Robert. You're on halftime.
Real quick, you were talking about the win totals and is this team worse than last year? Most of us had us picked either 4, 5, 6 is the dream to go to Shreveport. That was the dream. But 5 was, we can't even get to 5 now. And I know everybody, Kentucky, we can't play with Kentucky because Kentucky played with Florida. We can't go anywhere. So my point, you won one more game if you beat Western Kentucky, but really that's the question we have to ask ourselves. Are we really any better? And I don't think the one win total for 3, really can't say that's any better to me. But, I'm just see what y'all's thoughts are.
Thanks for the call, Robert. So I think, Phil, you have to start with the difference of competition. Last year, North Texas is better than any non-conference opponent you'll play this year. Number two, you're
by
playing
far.
Yeah, by far. Mason Fine is a better quarterback than every single one of them, maybe even combined. Number two, Phil, you're playing all these guys at home, every single one of them. Last year, you played Colorado State in Fort Collins. Like that's a big deal. I don't think you win that game if it's in Fort Collins again this year. They really did not play that great until they pulled away in the fourth quarter in that game. And I know you can point to the outstanding first quarter where they had 24 points, the most since Kentucky, and I'm forgetting the year. I know Bart had that a couple weeks ago, but they really didn't play that spectacularly in that football game. And so it's kind of a wait and see because you can't really make a determination until they get to that point. But I think there's some factors on both sides where you can make the argument for it and the argument against it. It's just how it depends on how they play down the stretch, Phil.
Well, look, I mean, four games into last season compared to 4 games into this season, to me it looks a lot like the same team. And I'd still like to say upgraded quarterback, but after 5 interceptions against San Jose State, again, the jury, my man, is out.
And I love Robert's quote that he probably his best quote of the call was, the dream was to go to Shreveport. How many people in the United States of America, even if you want to central it in on college football fans, would say the dream was to go to Shreveport? You know what that sounds like? It sounds like a Vanderbilt football fan, and that's where your program is right now.
Sounds like, yes, at the end of the basketball season, we were just hoping, we were praying, we were begging for a bid to the CBI. We're just so fired up to be playing some sort of postseason. We couldn't make it into the NIT this time. The CBI is where we're headed, and we're really fired up about it. A step forward, yes. We got to step forward to a break in just a moment. Bob Holt coming up in about 15 minutes. Your calls, your texts all throughout the show on the Cherokee Casino hotline, 877-377-6963 to get on halftime. We're brought to you by Breeden RV in Van Buren. Still have the big RV show going on, but not for much longer. Still have a chance to save thousands on a huge selection of new and used RVs, ATVs, UTVs, boats, and motorcycles. Ask them about the Deer Hunter Special, like a new 21-foot travel trailer starting at $999.5 and fifth wheels up to 35% off. Everything new coming, of course, with Breeden RV's exclusive free maintenance for life. That's Breeden RV in Van Buren. Start a new adventure today at BreedenRVs.com. Coming back after the break on ESPN Arkansas and HitThatLine.com.
Don't spend life sitting on your hands. You're listening to Halftime.
If football is being played, TGI Fridays in Fort Smith is the place to watch and enjoy. No matter the day of the week or time of the day, TGI Fridays has the game on and all your favorite beers, drinks, and appetizers, including $2 draft beers, $5 pitchers, and $3 specialty drinks. Plus delicious appetizers like loaded cheese fries, boneless wings, skillet queso, and lots more for only $5. Football, food, and fun all day long. If it's game day, it's TGI Fridays, I-540 and Rogers Avenue in Fort Smith.
Fall has arrived. Back to school, football games, hunting season, and we know that you don't have the time to deal with an auto accident. Let Evans Body Shop help you through the process from beginning to end. Our caring office staff will take care of the insurance details, and our dedicated shop crew will make sure that your vehicle is repaired properly and beautifully, and that you are back on the road in no time. Come meet us today and see why we say we meet the nicest people by accident. Visit with us at 412 Gordon Avenue in Van Buren, just off Fayetteville Road.
Evans Body Shop, where we meet the nicest people by accident.
Hi, I'm Kelly Smith, owner of Dixie Digital Imaging, the Xerox authorized agency and dealer in the River Valley. The 29 new models of Xerox business printers and copiers represent a quantum leap forward in office technology. They are designed for the way we work today, safely and securely. They're powered by Xerox Connect Key technology. They're innovative and affordable with both black and white and color devices available. For more information, give Dixie Digital a call at 783-6600 or visit us at dixiedigital.com. Dixie Digital Imaging, bringing Xerox document innovations to the River Valley.
Right now, you can save up to $5,000 off on select in-ground pools at Burton Pools and Spas. Hi, Tommy Kraft here. Now is the perfect time to start planning your own backyard oasis for next summer, so you can relax and enjoy the lazy days poolside next year with family and friends. It's the perfect way to unwind after work or do a staycation. And don't make that long trip this next summer. Vacation in your own backyard. Burton Pools and Spas also has luxury spas, grills, and patio furniture that will complete your outdoor outdoor living space. So don't wait. Right now is the time. Save up to $5,000 on select in-ground pools, including saltwater models. It's all at Burton Pools and Spas. This special deal is first come, first served. Stop in their store in Fort Smith and in Springdale for all the details. Fall is the perfect time to start working on your in-ground pool with Burton Pools and Spas in Fort Smith and in Springdale, and online at burtonpools.com. Burton Pools and Spas, your source for backyard fun.
Locally owned Lumber One can handle all of your building needs. They've built their business on having great relationships with everybody from contractors and builders to the everyday build-it-yourself. Lumber One is a full-line door shop to handle all of your door, window, and trim needs. And along with lumber, roofing and drywall products, attic wall and floor insulation is available. Lumber One also does blueprint takeoff with access to design services with estimates available. So go where the pros go. Lumber One, located on Industrial Park Road in Van Buren.
Joe's Grill and Cantina is the only place to watch the Hogs. Watch every game at Joe's. Enjoy half-price apps and taps during the game. And with TVs all around the restaurant, you'll have a front row seat. Half-price appetizers like brisket nachos, Mexican pizza, 10-layer dip, or Joe's humongous sampler platter. All half price. And all beers on tap are half price. Watch every Hog game at Joe's. Half-price apps and taps during every Hog game at Joe's Grill and Cantina. 3400 South 74th Street across from Harps.
This is the Morning Rush.
Just hasn't clicked yet for Chad Morris. I don't think the guy is incapable of doing this job. He's got to get more players. He's got to get more talent. I think there's clearly reason to question whether this coaching staff is all cohesive and on the same page. He's still learning on the job what it takes to be the CEO of an SEC football program.
Don't miss the Morning Rush. Weekdays from 6 till 9. Only on ESPN 95.3. ESPN 95.3. Touchdown! Halftime is brought to you by Supercuts, who supports local teams. Supercuts. We're super into the movement.
Yeah, they got it going on.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
At the end of the day, it's on the road in the SEC with a backup quarterback, and this running game with Darren McFadden is the real deal. The Hogs take it to Tennessee. I like Arkansas.
Countdown for the start of Arkansas basketball season is now, 42 days from today, Ty?
I think it's 41.
That's what it is.
It's whenever
41 days away.
It's whenever
Arkansas
November
opening
5th
up.
is, yeah.
It's Rice University. Practice got underway a couple of days ago, and Eric Musselman had met with the Arkansas media. He's been in front of the media quite a bit in the last week and a half. Was wearing the 1992 warm-up jersey or warm-up suit before announcing the red-white game at Barnhill Arena. Of course, they've had the announcement of an exhibition with UALR with all the proceeds for the $10 GA seats. Going to flood victims of the springtime flood in the River Valley. And he actually was up there talking a little basketball the other day. And do you feel, this is interesting too, because how when you're talking about new coaches, you're learning about how they recruit. And this was the story with Chad Morris when he was first hired at Arkansas, and his usage of social media and all of that goes into it. And Eric Musselman, I think, is probably the best right now at using social media on campus in ways that nobody would really think about. These photos that he's been taking with the players as they come in with the recruits, and it's very creative, redoing famous photos from NBA history. And it's just the kind of thing that these recruits seem to love. It also shows that Eric Musselman, who allowed himself to be stepped over by, who was that? Was that KK Robinson that stepped over him? The Ty Lue shot?
Yeah, I think it was KK Robinson, and I'm forgetting the recent. Oh, it was with Chris Moore out of West Memphis, the 4-star shooting forward out of West Memphis that just did the LeBron James dunking over Jason Terry when he was on the Heat and Terry was on the Celtics. So to your point, Phil, guy's got a sense of humor and doesn't take himself too seriously.
Well, I mean, and it's a lot. I mean, he's also taking the photos, the grip and grins, just arms around him in front of the Arkansas basketball logo in the practice facility, and everybody's doing that sort of thing. But he's doing things that are standing out. And I think sometimes it's a little bit difficult for us to wrap our minds around who the message is going to, especially on social media, in which I mean, we've got a lot of adults and older people that are on social media and get involved in that too. But it feels like it's more of a younger generation thing. And this is where you're recruiting to. Who are you marketing to with a lot of this stuff? I mean, even the uniforms that athletic departments kick out here and there, fans will complain about them. They don't like how a team looks. But they're marketing those uniforms to the kids that they want to wear those uniforms. It's the same with these photos. It's the same with how they recruit. He's not recruiting fans. The fans are going to be there if you win. If you win games, they'll be there. I think the excitement's being ginned up because of the energy level that Muss brings and some of the things that he's thinking about that other coaching staffs might not have done before. But then he's also recruiting. And it's the same as marketing. Isn't marketing and recruiting kind of the same thing? It's just a matter of you got more customers coming into the basketball arena than you've got kids coming into a basketball program to play for you.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think with him, the phrase that I've told you before and that you've probably heard numerous times when Arkansas football fans or administration or whoever say, once we get a kid on campus, you're a lot more golden to get them on. Well, if you have all these kids texting Muss about, hey, can we take this if I take an official? Can we take this if I take an unofficial? That might not have happened if he hadn't started this trend. You might think, well, that's not that big of a deal. Well, if a 4-star or 5-star is just thinking about Arkansas based on that pick he may or may not get to take with Eric Musselman, and then all of a sudden he sees what the program has to offer. Because let's not kid ourselves, Arkansas's basketball facilities stack up pretty well, not only in the SEC, but in college basketball in general. But the whole perception about Arkansas, and folks, you probably know this if you've traveled outside the state, is we don't wear shoes. We don't have electricity and all that. Once you get a kid on campus, you can actually show him what the Arkansas basketball program is all about, and Muss can show him how he can get to the next level. That's big time, Phil.
That is. So let's play the audio that we've got of Musselman talking about who he's recruiting to and the reason why he's doing this.
I mean, I'm 54 years old, and I don't think my wife and daughter like to go on Twitter and see me with a headband on and a knee brace and in a uniform. Like, my wife doesn't really think that's cool. But right now we have recruits across the country that are sending us pictures that they want to, hey, if I come on campus, can we do this? So we're trying to kind of create a niche and try to relate to to 18-year-olds rather than 55-year-olds.
Phil, let's tie it into our radio show. So the segues that we have in the rejoins, it's not my generation's music. It's majority yours and older, and there's a reason for that. Because there's more audience members listening right now that are your age and older than there are my generation.
And there's also I'm introducing you to some really darn good music these days with halftime homework,
exactly,
right?
Which we get to in hour number 2, which I'm excited about that. Had a great time watching Office Space, but
how couldn't you?
We'll get to that in hour number 2. But it's the same idea, it's the same concept where you market to who you want to talk to, and the same applies in any profession whatsoever, clients, audience, whoever. The exact same thing as recruiting. He is trying to tailor his social media, the Arkansas Razorback social media, to interest kids, not my age, even younger, about 6 years and below, so that they will be interested in Arkansas. Because as much as people love to think that Arkansas is still a national powerhouse in basketball, it's not. That ship has sailed. If you want to get back to that point, you got to bring in some dudes. And it's a lot easier to do that in basketball than it is football.
I heard Danielle Musselman last week on Rusk and Zach, and she's talking about, I think some of the stuff that Muss just mentioned there on that soundbite. He's on Twitter all the time. He's constantly on Twitter. I mean, he leads. I think he's tweeted more than anybody else that's a head coach in the SEC.
You love keeping that.
I know.
Track.
I mean, it's been a while since I took a look at it, but there's reasons for why he's doing this. I don't think it's necessarily an addiction to the social media. I think this is how I am marketing to the kids that are going to win us basketball games and keep us here for a long, long time. And that's exactly what Musselman is doing. So, I mean, he's got to do things that maybe might annoy the people that are around him. But at the same time, they seem to be pretty understanding about the thought that social media addiction or constantly being on it, there's a reason behind it as he puts up photos that they're not going to enjoy. I kind of wondered what Danielle thought about when she was writing on his chest. I forget when that was, when he's coaching Nevada, and ripped his shirt off and had that marker written all over his chest. Anyway, we better step aside for a break because we got our friend Bob Holt from the Democrat-Gazette coming up in just a moment. So let's step out. Bob Holt from the Democrat-Gazette. But first, aren't we? It's a Thursday, Ty, so the weekend is fast approaching. You got a couple of cold silver bullets on ice?
Need to, man. I don't have them yet, but I will get them when I get home to my fridge. And Coors Light, it's the most refreshing beer. It's cold filtered, it's cold packaged, and it's cold lagered. It's always cold. It's as cold as the Rockies, which when their mountains turn blue on the cans, that's when you know it's as cold as the Rockies. And Phil, what do you always do when the mountains turn blue?
Grab a few, or maybe just two.
Yeah, a few or two, same thing. Either way, Coors Light, made to chill.
Bob Holt from the Democrat-Gazette next on Halftime on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com.
You're listening to Halftime.
The Ram Power Days event at Williams Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Stigler, Oklahoma is underway. You can now get 0% APR for 60 months, plus $2,000 combined bonus cash for up to $10,348 in estimated total value on select all-new 2019 Ram 1500 Laramie Crew Cab 4x4 models. Become one of the many proud and satisfied Ram owners with a great deal this month during Ram Power Days event at Williams Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Stigler. Log on to buywilliams.com for more information.
Right now, I'm holding a perfectly ice-cold Coors Light. You know how I know it's the perfect temperature? Because the mountain on the can is blue. And also, it's really cold. Every Coors Light is cold filtered, cold lagered, and cold packaged. Notice how many times I said cold? 3 times. It's that cold. So make sure the mountain on your can of Coors Light is blue, because that means it's ready to enjoy. 2019 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Did someone say, I'm hungry? Visit 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge on the Avenue. Try the new panini sandwiches like the Chicken Pyro or the Cubana or the signature 906 wings. Jumbo wings roasted with honey bacon jam. Want some spice? Try the black and blue wings. Experience their salads, flatbreads, coffees and desserts, top shelf wines and liquors, premium beers, world-class cigars, all in an atmosphere that feels less like a lounge and more like a destination. Sample, indulge, escape. 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge. Treat your appetite on the Avenue.
At Chambers Bank, our Arkansas roots grow deep, and you can trust us as your partner for every banking need. From a simple checking account to your first home loan, whatever you need, big or small, we are here for you. With 18 convenient branches throughout the state and a full suite of online banking options, we will always be available when you need us. Family owned in Arkansas since 1930, Chambers is your full-service community bank. Bank with trust at Chambers Bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender, NMLS 631520.
Arrow Bolt and Screw is Fort Smith's distributor of bolts, screws, fasteners, anchors, and much, much more. They have a wide variety, stainless steel inventory, and metric fasteners. This family-owned and operated business takes great pride in providing their valued clients with high-quality products at low, affordable prices. Arrow Bolt and Screw can be found at 5424 Wheeler Avenue in Fort Smith. That's Arrow Bolt and Screw. Call 646-0540. That's 646-0540. Arrow Bolt and Screw.
Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays are all about football. And TGI Fridays in Fort Smith has all-day specials every game day. TGI Fridays has the game on and all your favorite beers, drinks, and appetizers, including $2 draft beer, $5 pitchers, and $3 specialty drinks. Plus delicious appetizers like loaded cheese fries, boneless wings, skillet queso, and lots more for only $5. Football, food, and fun all day long. If it's game day, it's TGI Fridays. I-540 and Rogers Avenue in Fort Smith.
ESPN 95.3. Halftime is brought to you by 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge. Upgrade your evening on the Avenue. You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
And Derby's got the first down. A.J. Derby then hits the speed. How about that? Did he stay in? Touchdown, Arkansas!
Our friend Bob Holt joining us here on Halftime on a Thursday. Bob, how you doing today?
Hello.
Hey, Bob, how you doing, man? We got you on the Cherokee Casino Hotline. What's up?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing all right. I thought about you last night. I'm in the DFW area. Went to the Rangers Red Sox game last night at what is it called now? Globe Life Park. And you remember they built an overhang over the right field fence from the second deck to mimic old Tiger Stadium, which means that they've got obstructed views in the right field seats for a ballpark that was built in 1994. Of course, Tiger Stadium opened in, what was it, 1912? I thought we were done with obstructed views. Did you ever get stuck behind one of those poles at Tiger Stadium?
No, I didn't go to a ton of games there because we moved away, but I went to probably 7 or 8 games there through the years before they tore it down. But yeah, I remember one time I went to a series and just kind of, got different seats in different places. This was like in, it was the late 90s. Tigers weren't very good, so it wasn't hard to get good seats. But yeah, last night the Tigers clinched the #1 overall pick, so I guess that's something to celebrate.
Congratulations. Hey, if Casey Martin has a great season at Arkansas, potentially he could be the top overall pick. I've heard a lot of people think that previously, so I think Casey Martin might look good in a Tiger uniform.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're going to go for a position player and a hitter, and Casey's got a lot of upside with as a hitter and with his speed. And I know he had kind of a rough season defensively last year with the throwing errors, but I think he'll be a pretty good shortstop. He's so athletic. He's still kind of grown to that position. But yeah, if he has a big year, that'd be a great pick for the Tigers.
Bob, you must really enjoy writing your SEC report that goes into the Democrat each Thursday, especially with the fact that Arkansas right now is struggling. And I mean, there's not a lot of positives to write about after last week's loss to San Jose State. And you guys aren't there to write, to make excuses for anybody. So, I mean, you got an entire league that you get to follow. I know Tom Murphy's writing a lot about the team right now, and I know you aren't too, but you kind of have to I'm imagining that when you're listening into the teleconference, the coaches' teleconference every Wednesday right now, you're like, thank goodness I've got some other teams to write about and something other than Arkansas.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of excitement with the league. I'd say it's probably top-heavy. This year, when you look at Arkansas and Tennessee are really struggling. They kind of mirror each other, proud programs with a lot of tradition. Tennessee's got top 10 type tradition, but they're kind of like Arkansas. They've sort of been in the wilderness for the last few years. They had a couple good years with Butch Jones, 9-win season, just like Ernst had, some solid years with Brett Bielema. They couldn't sustain it, and I think both those guys had 5-year, 10 years that sort of had a bell curve. They were down and went up, and then by the end they were down again. And yeah, but certainly when you look at Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Auburn's really playing well. Florida, I mean, the SEC's got 5. They may have 5 of the best teams in the country. I mean, they may be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. I mean, Clemson's obviously in there, and probably Oklahoma too, but you can argue the SEC's got 5 of the top 7 or 8 teams in the country, but the lower part, the depth isn't quite there with Arkansas and Tennessee, and Vandy's really struggling. And it's really exciting. The LSU's got an exciting offense now, and Joe Burrow leading it, and you look at what Tua's doing, and Jake Fromm at Georgia. They've got some great quarterbacks in this league that I'm sure you're going to be seeing playing in the NFL for a long time.
So would it be fair then to say, you mentioned LSU, would it be fair to say right now, 4 weeks into the season, that the #1 story in the SEC is LSU's offense, and specifically Joe Burrow? But, I mean, they're averaging almost 58 points per game, 5th in the nation in total offense. I know, they haven't played the best teams other than Texas, but do you think LSU's offense has been the top story over the first month in this league?
Yeah, probably, because, I mean, so many people were skeptical because LSU's been saying, whether it's Ed Orgeron or before him Les Miles, hey, we're going to open it up, and then they really wouldn't. Either they didn't have the personnel to do it, and I always thought LSU had great receivers, and they just didn't really have, didn't have great quarterbacks. And of course, Joe Burrow's a graduate transfer from Ohio State, and he played well last season, but they've just taken it to a whole nother level. They brought in an assistant coach from New Orleans to be their New Orleans Saints to be their passing game coordinator. And I remember Scooter Hobbs, who's a veteran Louisiana writer, asked Ed at media days, I'm paraphrasing here, but kind of said, you say you're going to run this offense, if you and Ed kind of interrupted him not to rude and said, hey, we're going to run it. I've seen the plays. We're going to run it. And true to his word, they are running. I mean, they scored 66 points at Vanderbilt last week. And Vanderbilt's, obviously not a powerhouse, but they're an SEC team. And it's just wild to see LSU put up these numbers, up 45 points at Texas. And, it's 3rd and 17 with a lead. In the old days, LSU and a lot of teams are going to run the ball, punt, play field position. No, LSU hits a big pass play and puts their lead to 14. So it really is a new LSU. And I'd say the other big story in the league is the way Auburn started. Gus Malzahn, a lot of hot seat talk, and they still got a really tough schedule, but they beat Oregon in Arlington, and then they had a really big road win at A&M. So I think Auburn's shown they're a top 10 team right now. They still got to play Alabama and Georgia and Florida. They got a really, really tough schedule, but LSU's offense and the way Auburn has started, I think, are the two big stories in the league.
Speaking with Bob Holt on the Cherokee Casino Hotline here on Halftime. Bob, you mentioned LSU's offense. It's resurgent. Joe Brady comes over from the Saints, and they really get things going. And I know Joe Burrow is in year 2 of that program, not necessarily the system, but the program. I'm wondering, do you think Arkansas fans are irritated by the fact that offense is really starting to click? I know Ed Orgeron's been there, and there really hasn't been a huge lapse of talent when you transition from Les Miles to Ed Orgeron, but more on the offensive side of the football. Do you think Arkansas fans see that and are frustrated by the fact that their offense seems to be going nowhere in year 2 of Chad Morris?
Well, I think they're just frustrated, period. Yeah, but maybe seeing the transformation LSU's undergone. LSU obviously has better personnel than Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
LSU shows it can be done, and it can be done pretty quickly if you have the right players. But that's the big key. Like I said, LSU's always had really good receivers, or usually does, and I always thought that has to be frustrating because those guys don't seem to get the ball enough. But now they've got a playmaker, a quarterback who can run some too. They've got great receivers. They always have good running backs, and I think it looks like their offensive line's holding up pretty well. So I'm sure it frustrates Arkansas fans. I think Arkansas fans are just frustrated. Period. I don't think it's necessarily what LSU's doing. It's just been a real tough, last 8 years or whatever we're going on now.
So, Bob, I don't know if people have been commenting on your articles if this is one of the worst Razorback teams ever. The loss last week was the worst team ever. But there's a way to communicate with sports writers, radio hosts, TV people that there wasn't back in the day, and that's social media. Do you think because of social media in this day and age, specifically this season, this football team, that we're overblowing the fan reaction towards Chad Morris and how much people are frustrated right now? Or do you think that's kind of a microcosm that's actually what the majority fans are feeling towards this football program?
Well, I think it's a couple of things. I mean, I think fans in 1992 when Arkansas lost the Citadel were probably just as frustrated as fans are now losing to San Jose State. And obviously, like you said, in 92 there wasn't, Facebook and Twitter and everything to vent your frustration. But I also think, and this obviously no on Chad Morris because he's in his second season, but it's a cumulative effect that really goes back to 2012. And like I say, Brett Bielema had some, let's not forget he had an 8-5 season, a couple of 7-6 seasons. I think what frustrates people about that is those seasons could have and should have been much better. I mean, his last season when they went 7-6, and they went into Missouri 7-4, played a pretty bad Missouri team and blew a 17-point lead. Then they played a good Virginia Tech team and had 24-0 halftime lead and got outscored 35-zip in the second half. So, the year they went 8-5, they probably should have won 10. Those years they won 7, they should have won 8 or 9. So while Brett, took the program up and then it came back down. I think what's frustrating about that 5 seasons is that they could have been so much better. And if they had, maybe Brett's still a coach here. Who knows? But I think people are very frustrated because they've had 3 crazy bad losses under Chad. Blowing a big lead to a Colorado State team that went 3-9. A good North Texas team comes in here but just destroys Arkansas, embarrasses them, and where Good Morning America's showing that punt clip, and then the San Jose State game where those guys are 4-23 since 2017 coming in. You know, they were one of the worst, or had been one of the worst, Division I teams. And so that, having 3 losses like that in a short span, I think really frustrates people. But I also think the frustration goes back to the last, like I say, 7 or 8 years. The Petrino crash, the John L. Smile, all that stuff. I mean, if you put together a clip like you guys could have sound or video or something, there'd be a lot of stuff spliced in there. And then Chad Morris didn't have anything to do with a lot of it, but he's the guy now. He's the coach, and it's his job to fix this and get them going again. So I don't know if the fans are more frustrated now than they were. Obviously, like you say, you can express it more, but I think a lot of it's the cumulative effect because, frankly, Arkansas has had the worst. If you add up SEC wins in that period, I mean, Arkansas has been like Vanderbilt in the 70s or something. I mean, Arkansas has had the worst SEC. On paper, they've had the most losses these last few years, and I don't think Arkansas fans expect Arkansas to be Alabama, but they don't expect them to be Vanderbilt either.
It's realism in a phone call right there. Bob, safe trip to Texas. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, you guys take care.
It's Bob Holt from the Democrat Gazette. Weekend's coming up. Make your plans to head over to 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge at 906 Garrison Avenue. It's not just a place for great cigars or top-shelf wines, liquors, premium beers, also great food. The top chef on staff coming up with lunch and light dinner items that you won't find anywhere, like the chicken pyro or Cubana, jumbo roasted wings with honey bacon jam. Sounds delicious. Plus salads, flatbreads, and desserts. Coffees for lunch or dinner, all in an atmosphere that feels less like a lounge, more like a destination. 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge. We'll come back to wrap up the first hour next on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com.
You're listening to Halftime.
Sales tax paid. It's here, it's now, it's at Road Chevrolet in Van Buren. Hi, this is David Neal, and my pre-owned inventory is busting at the seams. State sales tax paid on all pre-owned inventory. Save your hard-earned money and let me pay your state sales tax. Sales tax on Chevy, sales tax on Fords, sales tax on Jeep, sales tax on Kia, sales tax on Subaru. Did I mention I was paying the sales tax on all pre-owned inventory? Hurry, act now only at Road Chevrolet in Van Buren, exit 2-way off of I-540. Find new road.
Offer not valid on previous negotiated deals.
If you're a landowner, hobby farmer, or full-time farmer, Bush Machine and Tractor knows how important this time of year is for you. So make the most of it with a brand new Branson tractor. Offering tractors from 19 to 105 horsepower, they have the tractor that's right for you. Make the most of your time this year and ask about their special financing options and free loader rebates. Arkansas's #1 Branson dealer is Bush Machine and Tractor in Fort Smith. Check out their inventory at bushtractor.com.
Hey, this is Ted with Ed Walker's Drive-In. For more than 70 years, Ed Walker's has been the place to go for the best French dips and hand-patted hamburgers in town. Blue Plate Specials served Monday through Friday, and we're still the home of Fort Smith's only 5-pound hamburger. We're open 10 a.m. to midnight, 7 days a week. Call ahead for pickup, 783-3352. Ed Walker's Drive-In, 1500 Towson Avenue in Fort Smith, where the legend lives on.
We've invented a new messaging system using the crisp sounds of Bud Light. Crisp Code. Lesson 42. This is how you say happy hour. It's happy hour. Let's go get some Bud Lights. That's it for today.
Brewed with no corn syrup. Bud Light. Crisp. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Being the family superhero is a tireless job, constantly defending against monsters in the closet and grass so tall it swallows small children. But who's there for them if you're not? Your local Shelter Insurance agent. With an insurance superhero sidekick, you can find a life insurance plan that helps provide a safety net for your family. Learn more at shelterinsurance.com. We're your shield. We're your shelter. Shelter Life Insurance Company, Columbia, Missouri.
Ask Shelter agents Brandon Zimmerman or Chris Dooley about a free insurance review.
Littleton's Paintless Dent Repair is your one-stop shop for all repairs. Paintless Dent Repair, door dings, unsightly dents, and hail damage repair. all repaired to like new conditions. With over 1 million repaired vehicles with satisfied customers, Michael Littleton is the expert in paintless repair. Littleton's Paintless Dent Repair conveniently located 3 miles from the Arcoma exit off Highway 112. Or call 479-461-9764. Your number one Arkansas fan.
Make Awake Boat Sales and Service is not only where you can get your next Yamaha or Skeeter boat, they also carry a huge selection of bait and tackle. Find whatever floats your boat at Make Awake Bait and Tackle. They carry tons of top brand lines of rods and reels and everything you need to gear up your tackle box, from Strike King, Kitech, and Zoom to Sunline and War Eagle products. Make finding your next Yamaha or Skeeter boat an easy catch with Make Awake Boat Sales and Service in Van Buren, 4806 Alma Highway in Van Buren, and MakeAwakeBoats.com.
Have you been thinking about new windows or vinyl siding for your home? Then think Superior Siding and Windows. Superior Siding and Windows has been offering low-maintenance, energy-efficient products in the River Valley for over 40 years. Superior Siding and Windows also specializes in sunrooms, patio covers for carports, and much more. Call 646-7888 for a free in-home estimate. Superior Siding and Windows, 646-7888. Superior Siding and Windows. Look for us in the Yellow Pages and like us on Facebook.
ESPN 95.3. Touchdown! Halftime is brought to you by Supercuts, who supports local teams. Supercuts. We're super into the movement.
Yeah, they got it going on.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Here's Jones on a keeper. Out over the 40 to midfield. Matt Jones may take it to the house. And the dunk.
All right, in a season where Arkansas fans are wondering where our touchdowns coming from. You know, we got a team that's struggling to score at times. Alabama's wide receivers score so much that they play games to figure out who is running touchdown routes. Rock, paper, scissors to figure out who's running the route that's going to score the touchdown. When did this start?
Well, Henry Ruggs said in an article on CBS Sports, we have playmakers everywhere, and any moment, any guy can make a play. So once they get the play call, they knew, this is the route that's going to catch a touchdown. So we rock, paper, scissors who was going to run that route. Man,
they do a
what a time to be
Rochambeau
alive.
for it? How do you like that? Orochi. You know, when I learned that game, it was rock, paper, scissors match. My father threw in the match. I don't know anybody else that ever played that. Thanks, Dad, for making me feel weirder than usual. Come back with a second hour next. Halftime homework is coming up on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com.
The last big RV show of the year is going on right now at Breeden RV in Van Buren. This is your last chance to save thousands on a huge selection of new and used RVs, ATVs, UTVs, boats, and motorcycles. We're having cookouts, parts and service specials, door prizes, henways, plus deer hunter specials like a new 21-foot travel trailer starting at $99.95 and new fifth wheels up to 35% off. Everything new comes with Breeden RV's exclusive free maintenance for life. So stop by Breeden RV in Van Buren and start your new adventure today.
Cookouts and door prizes on the 20th and 21st. See dealer for details.
Always get more at Orr.
We always put the customer first at Orr Chevrolet in Fort Smith. Since 1924, the Orr family of dealerships has grown based on one simple principle. Give the customer more money for their trades and give them a lower price on their new vehicle. It's a simple concept, really, but one that very few dealers honor anymore. Hey, we know you paid a lot of money for your vehicle, and Orr Chevrolet wants to pay you the maximum amount for it today. Then we'll give you an awesome price on a new Chevrolet. But we're not done giving you more. Included with any new vehicle sold, Orr Chevy will also give you a lifetime powertrain warranty, 2 years of free maintenance, and free car washes for life. So come get a lower price and more money for your trade today at Orr Chevrolet on Auto Park Drive in Fort Smith and 24/7 at OrChevyFS.com. Chevy, find new roads.
You always get more at Orr.
B&J Comfort Solutions provides home comfort and energy solutions to the River Valley, specializing in residential sales, service, and installation, offering only the absolute best customer service around. Call them for any of your service, maintenance, or replacement needs. B&J Comfort Solutions offer an industry-leading 5-year labor warranty on all new system installations. Veteran-owned and operated, and satisfaction is always guaranteed. Contact B&J Comfort Solutions today at 479-646-0284.
At Gray Brothers, they understand the importance of your hay crop. And with this year's weather, they understand more than ever. Gray Brothers, along with Kubota, is committed to making your hay production easier than ever. With the new BV Series Kubota baler, coupled with the Kubota M5 Series, or the more powerful M6 Kubota cab tractor with user-friendly functions, discounted pricing, and quality Kubota equipment. Now's the time for your new Kubota tractor and hay equipment from Gray Brothers Equipment in Fort Smith and Poteau, where if you pick orange, you'll never get a lemon.
ESPN Arkansas weather.
Decent chance of showers and thunderstorms tonight. They'll be pretty widespread across the north. Overnight lows will drop down in the mid to upper 60s. Now, as we head through Thursday, still looking at some scattered showers and thunderstorms, especially earlier. High temperatures in the low 80s north, upper 80s south. We dry out Friday. I'm Sally Russell with your forecast on ESPN Arkansas.
Weather is brought to you by Harry Robinson Buick GMC, where you always get more for your trade. Exit 11 off I-540 in Fort Smith. You can shop anytime at harryrobinson.com.
Good station.
KERX Paris Fort Smith. This is Halftime, coming at you from the Busch and Busch Light Studios on ESPN 95.3.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Broadcasting live from the Bud Light Studio.
I love Arkansas! I love everything here! Give me that thing here! Woo!
On your favorite Arkansas sports talk station.
Why did that happen in Fayetteville, Arkansas?
Dixon Street. It'll get you.
Streaming live from
Hit that line.
.com.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
This is Halftime.
Man, that ball got out of here in a hurry.
With Phil Elson.
You do a fantastic job on the radio. There's no one else in this league I'd rather listen to, so keep up the good work.
And Ty Richardson.
Guys do a good job, and I'll listen to you guys.
2 more quarters, and after that, most of you will never play this game again.
D-Mac! Hold on, Matt Ryan! D-Mac not looking back. Touchdown!
How about that Heisman, Mark Jones?
How do you like
it? Wide open again.
All right, hold on. It's almost halftime.
Welcome back on a Thursday into the second hour of Halftime on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com. I'm Phil Elson. I'm here in Deep Ellum in Dallas at Ross and Hall Beer Garden and Scratch Kitchen. Good food, definitely a lot of good drinks. Be a great place to come over if you're heading out to Arkansas versus Texas A&M. Appreciate Madison Broyles getting us set up here. Madison heading up the Dallas chapter of the Arkansas Alumni Association. We had her on the air about a year ago, Ty, over, I think it was down the street at Ferris Wheelers. Was looking for a place to do the show today. Couldn't do it in the hotel like I had the last couple of days. And Madison gave us the hookup, so I appreciate the folks here at Ross and Hall Beer Garden and Kitchen, which, by the way, is right at the corner of Ross and Hall in the Deep Ellum section of Dallas. Deep Ellum's a great place to come visit, Ty. If you ever come to Dallas, you ever been to the Deep Ellum part of this town?
I have. I've done a little drinking down there.
Well, that's what would go on. That's exactly what would happen at this in this part of the town. So yes, I would say you came here to do the right thing in the right spot.
Cool.
I feel really good about the right thing in the right spot of the movie that I had you watch, and I got a couple of good movies. One of them that I'll assign you for halftime homework. So let's get it started on a Thursday. Halftime homework right here.
I don't trust this kid any further than I could throw him.
I got a question. Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
Get out of my class. Out! Get out!
I was still thinking of going back to school.
It's just a movie from the 80s.
I am dangerous.
It's time for Halftime Homework, presented by Breeden RV and Power Sports.
It's our favorite section of the show, pretty much, throughout the entire week, and we appreciate Breeden RV in Van Buren for sponsoring Halftime Homework. Go over to Breeden RV in Van Buren, save thousands on a huge selection of new and used RVs, ATVs, UTVs, boats, and motorcycles. You can ask about the 21-foot travel trailer that starts at $999.5 or new fifth wheels that are up to 35% off. Best part about it, everything new comes with Breeden RV's exclusive free maintenance for life. That's Breeden RV in Van Buren. Start a new adventure today at BreedenRVs.com. So, and Ty, you must hate me because I continue to assign you movies during football season. But then again, I mean,
as long as they're good.
Yeah, they've been good movies, right? I mean, and I know I assigned you one of my favorites. It's a cult favorite. One of the movies that really got huge after it had already been distributed through the theaters and really didn't make much of a ripple in the theaters. You could thank the DVD craze of the early 2000s for making Office Space the cult favorite that it is. And I got to be honest here, I thought about Office Space the first time I ever walked inside the ESPN Arkansas studios to do the show with you, Ty, a little more than a year ago. And that's because I saw Derek Ruskin's name on office equipment, on staplers, and on, I think, a couple of other things, like a hole punch. And it made me think of Milton in Office Space, who is as protective of his stapler as anybody in the history of offices. Of course, Milton gets kicked out of this office to that office, and eventually, what does he burn the place down? I don't think Ruskin would burn the place down if he still is stapler, but it was obvious he'd had his stapler ganked a few times. So that's kind of funny. I did think of Office Space the moment I saw Ruskin on a stapler, because there's nowhere else I'd worked before where somebody's last name was on the stapler. I guess Tommy Kraft used to steal that from him.
I guess, man, but I wonder if Ruskin's going to be offended, or if he thinks that's funny that you're referring to him as Milton. That's who you're comparing him to.
Well, I don't think he's going to burn the place down, and I don't think anybody's moving him from office to office. But yes, I did think of Milton when I saw Ruskin's name on the stapler. All right, so I assigned you Office Space. I was pretty sure that you would like it, and I have to put this up front. I haven't really worked in like a real office setting in like 15 years. So, and a lot of the reasons I never liked working inside a real office setting was for many of the things that I think you saw in Office Space. Annoying bosses, rules that you don't quite understand, you don't feel that you're getting paid well, you don't enjoy the job, the people that you're working around, case of the Mondays. You never want to hear stuff like that. So what do you think about Office Space?
So Office Space, it was funny. The opening scene, him turning down the music and not saying certain words. I think we've all done that with certain songs, because I knew, how sudden, like in a book, it's the first page that hooks you or it doesn't. I think the opening scene of Office Space was a hook for me, which I thought was pretty funny. Tommy likes to give me crap every once in a while, which I thoroughly enjoy, because I know if the minute he stops giving me crap in this job, the minute I'm about to be fired. But he's not.
That's a rule in life. Yeah, man. That is a real rule in life.
But he's not condescending like Gary Cole is, and Gary Cole's the actor's name. What's his actual name in the show?
Lumberg.
Lumberg. Yeah, he's not condescending like Lumberg is, and so that's a situation that I'd get frustrated with really quick. I've never worked in a cubicle setting at all. I've worked in the food industry, I've worked in landscaping, I've worked in radio, I've worked in TV and a couple other spots, but I've never had my own cubicle. Now I've had office. I guess the production in a sense is the production room is kind of a cubicle, but that's
not a cubicle, that's a closet.
Yeah, I can shut the door though and get my work done. Like a cubicle situation, I feel like be really tough. I don't know how some of my friends do it. I have a bunch of friends that work up here, different companies up there, and they have a cubicle situation. I've never had to work in it, but it doesn't seem like it presents a steady dosage of encouraging those to work around you. That's just me, but again, I've worked that setting. Let's go and get on the record on this. Jennifer Aniston in the 90s might be the most beautiful woman of all time. And that's a real question. If there's anyone that wants to retort that or question me on that, you can text us in 877-377-6963. But that run she had on Friends, and in this, and in another movie or two that I'm sure I'm forgetting. My goodness gracious! I don't know if there's anyone that can compete with that.
And of course, she works in maybe even a more annoying setting than Peter does in The Office. I mean, she works at, and this was the reason I signed to the movie, is that I saw some similarities between, I forget the name of the restaurant from Waiting. You had me watch Waiting last week, but it just reminded me of it a little bit, so they didn't have to put pieces of flair on their uniform like the characters in Tchotchkes, which is the restaurant that Jennifer Aniston works at in Office Space. And by the way, her boss in Tchotchkes is Mike Judge, who I think was the producer and writer of Office Space, and he invented Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill. Do you know Beavis and Butthead, by the way?
Yes.
The cartoon from the 90s?
I don't have to push the generational gap button. I'm not going to pretend like I've watched a bunch of episodes, but I know the concept at least. So
okay.
My friends, and by the way, my friends, I was at dinner last night for my buddy's birthday, and my friends were giving me a hard time that I hadn't seen Office Space yet. So it's not just my generation; it's dogging me about this. It's my own flesh and blood, my own generation.
You're welcome.
As well.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. I'm getting you right with your friends finally.
So I'm seeing my uncle not in October but in November, and the main character looks a lot like him, which I thought was kind of funny. So that's kind of what I focused on. We were talking, I was talking about this with Tommy a couple weeks ago, the transition in technology, and I can't even imagine trying to do a radio show or do some of the stuff I have to do with a computer that loaded like it did in that movie, where you're trying to exit something, it takes another 10 minutes to get out of it. That would just drive me insane, Phil.
Well, and yes, I mean, I think everybody deals with annoying equipment, but it's the thought that in the office where you got to print everything out, sometimes in duplicate, that it's the dreaded paper jam. And I remember, I mean, one of the things that I did as an intern with the Pittsburgh Pirates, the 1 year I worked in the major leagues, as an intern of the Pirates in 1996, more than anything, I was king of the copier. I mean, I made probably millions of copies. And I figured out all the ways to fix every single spot where there could be a paper jam. It was a daily occurrence that these stupid things would just jam up. And so you can understand, this is probably the most famous scene in Office Space, is when
it's like a murder
they get
scene.
medieval on the printer.
Yeah. It's like a murder scene. They take this printer out in the field and just absolutely beat her and batter it. It was really funny. I can't remember the music that was played in the background, but it was quite funny. I think a general rule of thumb, if all your friends and all your coworkers think that your girlfriend is cheating on you, she's probably cheating on you, Phil. That's just a general rule of thumb. I can't guarantee that with 100% authenticity, but that was a strong takeaway from the movie I got as well.
And it's just another takeaway from the movie is that, you know, people that are in the office settings or in restaurants, everybody's miserable with their job. Every last one of them hates their job, with the exception of Peter's next door neighbor, who works in probably the one that, you know, and I don't think that this is the case, but I think that a lot of folks in the office setting would look at construction work as menial labor. But that's the guy who's happy with what he's doing. He feels, you know, he's outside, he's getting exercise every day. He was happy in his life.
Yeah.
He had a simple job. He didn't have a boss that was on him all the time. He didn't worry about paper jams. He didn't worry about flare on his uniform. He was happy.
By the way, Robbie in Virginia reminds us it was shenanigans in waiting.
Shenanigans.
That's
the same idea. Shenanigans, tchotchkes,
and I say Virginia.
TGI Fridays, whatever. It's all the same thing.
I know you're in Denver, Robbie. I got to change that. You're traveling too much, man. I got to keep updating where you're at. But, all right, so get past that. Phil, do you believe in hypnosis? Because that was a key part of the movie was that scene.
Right.
So do you believe in that? Because that kind of changed his whole outlook on everything.
It did. I've never been hypnotized, so I don't really know. I mean, the power of the brain is something that's pretty amazing. So perhaps. I mean, it did change his outlook on it, where he starts missing work, but then he reminds everybody, I wouldn't say I'm missing it, Bob.
So Gary Cole, again, who's Lumbergh, the boss in the movie, I know him from as Andrew Klein in Entourage. I can't remember. I know Tommy's watched it all the way through. Phil, have you seen Entourage yet?
I have seen much of Entourage.
Okay.
Not to the very end, but I've seen plenty of the episodes.
It gets worse at the end. So don't you as long as you've seen a majority of it, that's good. But he is Andrew Klein, who eventually becomes one of Ari Gold's, who's played by Jeremy Piven, partners in the not partners, but works for him in the company. That's kind of how I knew him as. Let's see. Oh, the other part, the last part I get to, Phil, when they're debating on breaking the law, and I don't know the 100% the concept of what I'm saying, but like taking the leftover pennies in the company or the leftovers and putting them in their account, and Samir is asking, and it's like, won't we go to jail? Won't we go to that? And he just goes, Samir, this is America, and like ends it like that. And he's like, you'll get into a cushy white collar prison, all this stuff, and what did he call it? Not promiscuous visits. What are those things called?
Conjugal visits.
Promiscuous
visits. I guess it's the same idea,
I guess it
right?
would be whoever the woman that entered would be promiscuous, but the conjugal visits, I mean, this is wild, man. And I'm kind of with my buddies last night. The fact that it took me 24 years to watch this movie is kind of a travesty, and I should be ashamed of myself. But maybe, okay, all of them, I'm trying to think. So I was with 8 other dudes last night. 7 or 6 of them work in office type settings like this. I've never been in this. So like I had to watch Waiting when I was working the restaurant business to like understand the funny side of my business, but I've never been in that sort of setting. So maybe it was like, even though I'm not in that particular industry, it was a rite of passage for me to watch that movie, Phil.
So let me give you your assignment for this next week, and then you'll assign it to me, because I didn't watch Out Cold. I guess I need to watch that for next week. All right, so what do you think of when you think of O.J. Simpson? When I say the name O.J. Simpson, or better yet, what about when I play this clip from Twitter?
Have you been watching what Antonio Brown is saying this morning on Fantasy? Well, it looks like, on Twitter, it looks like he's hit the trifecta. He got an owner, he got a TV commentator, and he got a Hall of Fame, soon-to-be Hall of Fame quarterback. And I'm not going to say he's wrong what he's saying, but it doesn't look like he's going to be back this year. And I finally had to push the drop button.
This is what O.J. has become. First of all, he's a complete joke, and he's a criminal, and he should be in jail. All right, so with that said, now he's become a fantasy football expert, apparently, and giving everybody, tips on what to do with their fantasy team. That's what O.J.'s become. So when I ask you, when you think O.J. Simpson, what do you think?
So the initial thing that pops in my head, obviously, is the O.J. trials, the Twitter, and everything else goes on. But I know at one point in time, he was one of the most revered sports athletes in the United States of America. And
it wasn't even just for what he did on the field.
Yeah, it was off the field as well. He wasn't Michael Jordan level, but he was a tier or 2 below. Like, people knew who he was. He was one of the more popular football players in the country, and he was a stud at USC, Heisman Trophy and everything, and he was well-liked. He was a good-looking dude, and then it all came crashing down.
I think for a long time there, O.J. was white America's favorite black athlete, and he ingratiated himself to America in ways that no other African-American athlete did at that point. And, I mean, this is what a lot of people thought about O.J. Simpson, were commercials like this from 1980.
Coming or going on a business trip, you've got no time to waste. And nobody knows that better than Hertz. Whether it's picking up or dropping off
These were famous commercials of O.J. running through the airport to get to the Hertz rent-a-car location, jumping over, lines of seats, zigzagging past everybody, doing a spin like he's running, like he's a running back at that. That's what O.J. was known for then. And then, of course, the murder trials is the most famous murder trial in American history that I can think of. And again, this is somebody that should still be in jail. And I know he was already jailed for false imprisonment a few years ago, but for the murders that everybody certainly thinks he committed, there's no reason for him to be out of jail. But I want to introduce you to a movie that this was like the typical viewpoint of how America felt of O.J. Simpson. He had a great smile. He had great delivery. He was a comedic actor. And the movie The Naked Gun, that stars Leslie Nielsen as Lieutenant Frank Drebin of Police Squad. Now, you've never seen The Naked Gun, correct?
I have not. I can tell you what the cover of the movie looks like because I've seen it, but I have not actually seen the movie itself, Phil.
Right. The cover of the movie is Leslie Nielsen essentially riding a bullet with his gun out and his badge out. That's the famous cover of The Naked Gun. I'll say this. I don't think I've ever laughed harder in the movie theater than a couple of the scenes in The Naked Gun, which I did get to go watch as an 11-year-old in 1988. But this is go ahead.
So is it like, would it be like The Hangover for my generation? Because that would, imagine watching that for the first time in theaters, and I had a strict parenting, a strict father and stepmother growing up, so I didn't get to see it in theaters. But my buddies would tell me that they say it's the funniest movie they've ever seen, or like a super bad something, like watching that in theater. Is that your version basically of what I'm talking about?
Kind of, yeah, kind of. Hangover's really funny, and it's got some slapstick qualities to it. But these kind of movies, these slapstick movies that started with like Airplane or the Kentucky Fried Movie, and eventually moved on to The Naked Gun and some of the Wayans brothers movies that made fun of horror films. A lot of these kind of movies don't really get made anymore. And for me, the best of them was The Naked Gun. So, I mean, this is another way that America thought of the juice, by the way, which we just got reminded by Robbie in Virginia, the juice. This is what we all thought of Nordberg, where he was Nordberg in this movie, The Naked Gun.
Nordberg, hiya, buddy. Hey, Doc says I should be on my bean and as good as new in a week.
And back on the force.
Nordberg, that's wonderful. Whoa.
See, I mean, you can just hear the smile in his delivery, the happiness in his delivery. There was nobody quite like the juice back then. But it's more than just O.J. Simpson. I mean, this is a fantastic movie that has a really great sports scene in it. Maybe the best baseball scene in the history of movies. And here I am, a baseball guy, even saying that. Ty, what you'll remember the name Enrico Palazzo once you've seen The Naked Gun. You will remember Enrico Palazzo, and then you'll probably make fun of it. It's the worst national anthem in the history of American sports, even though it didn't take place during a real game. It took part in The Naked Gun, in which Lieutenant Frank Drebin eventually makes it to the field as a fake opera star, Enrico Palazzo, and sings. I'm not going to play the national anthem for you because I want you to listen to it at some point instead. And I think you'll love it. And plus, he also, this is the really the hilarious part of the baseball scene is when he plays the plate umpire and does some of the most ridiculous strike calls and dance moves that I've ever seen an umpire do. So I'm going to guarantee you will love The Naked Gun, as B from Clarksville reminds us, full of one-liners, full of gags and real funny pranks and stuff like that. But I think you're going to love it. So The Naked Gun. Be careful. Don't roll on the floor too much, because I couldn't keep myself off the floor when I watched it the first time.
I think the hardest I've ever laughed of anything is probably The League Season 1, Episode 4. And you haven't watched The League yet, have you?
No, you're going to have to get me. Isn't that about a fantasy league?
Yeah, it's about a fantasy football league. That's the funniest I've ever laughed. That's not going to be your assignment this week, but it will eventually be down the road. Phil, your assignment this week, and I don't know why I haven't thought of this before. Have you seen the identity theft of Mitch Mustaine by chance?
No, I have not.
That's what you'll be watching for next week. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's kind of coincidental because Bo just had Houston Nutt on the Hog Pod. And there is a lot of stuff that Razorback fans don't know about what that went on behind the scenes between basically three guys, Gus Malzahn, Mitch Mustaine, and Houston Nutt. If you watch this movie, Phil, your perception on a lot of different things will be changed. I encourage fans listening that either like or don't like Houston Nutt, if you haven't watched that movie, you need to. You really need to. You might not agree with everything on it, but it is a really good movie. Phil, that's going to be your homework assignment this week. It's not going to be laugh on the floor funny, but it's informative, and it gives you a good insight back to what happened in 2006 with that.
It's not a laugh on the floor funny movie, but it's a beard stroking movie, right?
No, I wish I could say it's laugh on the floor. I'll give you. We'll do The League next week, and I think you'll really like that episode. I just want you to watch one episode, but yeah, that's what we're gonna looking for. I might have to assign you Blue Mountain State down the road too. That's like the perfect millennial. Have you seen that before? You seen Blue Mountain State? Okay, yeah.
Nope.
We're getting back to that. So, yeah, the identity theft on Mitch Mustaine, it's on Amazon Prime, so it'll be easy to access for you.
All right, so you've got The Naked Gun. I don't know if you got to pay to see it or not. If it's $2.99 for a rental, I'll give you $3. I'll pay for your rental and give you an extra penny for profit.
I did my wholehearted duty last night and paid $3.99 for office space through
you did
through TV. Yeah, because that's how committed. That's how committed I am to this halftime homework. And again, it goes back to the idea I have a lot more to learn than I have to teach you, Phil.
Well, that's why I brought you that Icy Light and that Iron City from Pittsburgh, that swish, that swill. It was payment for all the movies I'm making you rent. Brought to you today by Rhodes Chevrolet, the name you've been trusting for over 80 years. Rhodes, dependable in the car buying and car owning experience. You'll notice that when you walk into their showroom because you're treated like family. That's part of the family-owned dealership and service department that has served the River Valley for over 8 decades. Your next dependable vehicle is at Rhodes Chevrolet, 2800 Alma Highway in Van Buren, or RhodesChevy.com. Rhodes Chevrolet, dependable since 1934. We'll come back after the break. Eddie from Clarksville is on hold, so we'll see what the bell, if it's ringing or if it is broken, on ESPN Arkansas and HitThatLine.com.
Shooters shoot. You're listening to Halftime.
It's the final weekend of the month, and it's a free weekend at World of Wireless. 877-305-DISH. Then all the extras are free this weekend.
Call WOW now, 877-305-DISH, or stop by the corner of Phoenix and Rogers as we finish off the month with a free weekend promotion. Here's all the great things you get for free. You get the free installation. You get the free HD service. You get the free Hopper installed absolutely free. You get 30 premium movie channels. That's movie channels free for the first 3 months. The voice remote, which we've talked about in the past. Free voice remote where you can just say, hey, find Julia Roberts movies, and it'll find it for you, along with the 2-year price guarantee. All that's for free, along with a $100 Visa gift card this weekend only.
DVR in every room, HD in every room. You won't beat the quality of the service with DISH.
That's right, but you got to come by World of Wireless, and we'll throw in the multi-sport pack free this weekend. And if you're a military and first responder, ask about additional movie channels and additional channels for free.
877-305-DISH. That's 877-305-3474 for the local guys on a free weekend at World of Wireless.
The last big RV show of the year is going on right now at Breeden RV in Van Buren. This is your last chance to save thousands on a huge selection of new and used RVs, ATVs, UTVs, boats, and motorcycles. We're having cookouts, parts and service specials, door prizes, henways, plus deer hunter specials like a new 21-foot travel trailer starting at $99.95 and new fifth wheels up to 35% off. Everything new comes with Breeden RV's exclusive free maintenance for life. So stop by Breeden RV in Van Buren and start your new adventure today.
Cookouts and door prizes on the 20th and 21st. See dealer for details.
If you're a landowner, hobby farmer, or full-time farmer, Bush Machine and Tractor knows how important this time of year is for you. So make the most of it with a brand new Branson tractor. Offering tractors from 19 to 105 horsepower, they have the tractor that's right for you. Make the most of your time this year and ask about their special financing options and free loader rebates. Arkansas's #1 Branson dealer is Bush Machine and Tractor in Fort Smith. Check out their inventory at bushtractor.com.
How about today? Today is the day to buy your new car or truck. Hi, this is David Neal at Road Chevrolet in Van Buren, and for a limited time, we have added more incentives to our huge inventory. You can take home this brand new 2019 Chevy Crew Cab Z71 and save up to $14,000, or be the talk of the town while saving up to $6,000 on the all-new 2019 Chevy Blazer. These savings will not last long, so slide into Road Chevrolet, exit 2-way off I-540 in Van Buren. Find new roads.
See dealer for details.
Frank Rowe Furniture knows you are tired of all the back-to-school sales. So this September, we are going to do something different. Come into Frank Rowe Furniture and spin the wheel and win a free swivel recliner or get anywhere from 5 to 50% off at Frank Rowe Furniture. We also are now offering 0 down and up to 60 months interest-free financing with approved credit. Spin the wheel to win only at Frank Rowe Furniture. You always win at Frank Rowe Furniture. 405 4th Street in Barling, Arkansas. Best seats in the house.
If football is being played, TGI Fridays in Fort Smith is the place to watch and enjoy. No matter the day of the week or time of the day, TGI Fridays has the game on and all your favorite beers, drinks, and appetizers, including $2 draft beers, $5 pitchers, and $3 specialty drinks. Plus delicious appetizers like loaded cheese fries, boneless wings, skillet queso, and lots more for only $5. Football, food, and fun all day long. If it's game day, it's TGI Fridays, I-540 and Rogers Avenue in Fort Smith.
This is the Morning Rush.
Play calling is not what caused Nick Starkel to throw 5 interceptions. I still question the fact that a quarterback gets an opportunity to throw 5 interceptions. That, to me, is still head-scratching.
You wanted to see Ben Hicks?
Put John Neighbors in. 5 interceptions? You need to come to the sideline and think about it for a little while.
On that 5th one, he did, I guess, technically.
Yeah,
yes.
But how do you even get the chance to throw 5?
Don't miss the Morning Rush. Weekdays from 6 till 9. Only on ESPN 95.3. ESPN 95.3. Touchdown! Halftime is brought to you by Supercuts, who supports local teams. Supercuts. We're super into the movement.
Yeah, they got it going on.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
McFadden, the number 2 rusher in the SEC behind Kenny Irons. Boy, he hits that hole. Upfield he goes. Watch out. McFadden at the 25, 15, 5, touchdown.
All right, we promised you Eddie from Clarksville. He's been on hold on the Cherokee Casino hotline for a good long while here. Eddie, you're on halftime. How's the bell looking today? Has the bell got a crack in it, or is it still 100%?
Sir, I'll always be ringing the bell.
for the Hogs. Let me say this. I said this the other day. I've been an offense server for 7 years. And I don't plan on getting off of it anytime soon. And I really mean, and in those 47 years, Saturday at the game, that was the poorest performance I ever witnessed by a coaching staff and the players. Not to criticize them, but to state a fact. And I know there's better talent. But anyway, the reason I'm calling in today, I know the phone lines have been lit up, not only on halftime, all the sports radio shows in the country after that performance. I mean, the Buzz, Drive Time, Morning Rush, Zach and Ruskin, I know that. But anyway, Mr. Zach Arms reached out to me. I mean, there's been hundreds of fans reach out to me this week. And one particular gentleman, Mr. Zach Arms, reached out to me. He said he was at the Catfish Hole with Coach Morris' show last night, and some veterans approached him, one of them named Ben Dykes. And he asked could he give me the gentleman's number. By the way, sir, thank you for the service to this country. Yes. In every heart, every individual, every human being, there's a soul and heart. And within soul and heart contains things like desire, ambition, passion. Play with all your heart. And that's not taking place. And in this coaching staff, that's how you got to coach. With all your heart, with all your mind. And there's a measuring stick on the measuring pole, as they say, on performance. And you're either if your performance is good, you're at the top of that pole. And if your performance is as low as it was Saturday, you're at the bottom of the pole. And I'm asking this team, I'm going to ring a bell. Again, I'm going to ring it tomorrow. Come Saturday, win or lose the game, where is your performance going to be before you step out on that field? Coaches, where is your performance as a coach is going to be when you step out on that field representing this university? That's the question. And I'm going to be ringing a bell tomorrow. Let me say this. Listen to what Jimmy Johnson, just briefly, Jimmy Johnson, and for some of these players, you don't know who he is. Well, he played on our 1964 national championship. He went on as a coach to win national championships. He went on to win Super Bowls, and he went on to have a very successful career in the NFL as an analyst. Listen to what he said. We were a great team at Arkansas, not because of the players, because, listen to this, Coach Morris, because of coaching. Listen to that, because you need to take that to heart. And so I don't know what's taking place. Before you step out on, I would love the opportunity, gentlemen. I said this on the Bo Manley show, and I think I said it on the Morning Rush. I had the God-given privilege to work to two of the biggest cup, 20 years at UPS, going on 15 years at Walmart, both of them global, worldwide. You know what they preach, both of them? They preach preparedness, and when you come on the job, they accept nothing but your best. And if it's not, they'll bring somebody in that will. So take that to heart. So we'll see. I'm going to be ringing the bell. Are you going to answer win or lose? Or are you going to play with all your heart? That's what this fan base wants to see.
All right, Eddie. We appreciate that phone call, man. And Ty, I think that gets into something that we wanted to talk about, which, you know, what do you think you've been most disappointed with so far over the first 4 weeks? And it sounds to me, I mean, you could pick a lot of things. You know, inability to stop the pass. You know, get a pass rush. You know, the interceptions that you've seen your quarterbacks throw. But I think I think Eddie here too. Eddie seems he's probably most disappointed with coaching and with readiness to play for a program and a team that, at the very least, should always be out there fully ready. I don't know if it's a matter of preparedness, but ready to be out there and playing well from kickoff to final whistle. And I just don't know if this team has come out like that, not just in, you know, one or two of the 4 games, but every last one of them.
So we spoke multiple times during the offseason and during fall ball and stuff how the media was not getting a lot of attention and a lot of chances to see how the football team was going to be. They were only getting short segments of practice. Sometimes the scrimmages were cut off and you weren't able to see them as a media member. And so it was hard for not only me, not only Phil, but some of the more in-depth guys like Bob, Tom, Trey, Clay, and all these other media members who were constantly watching the football team, writing about the football team, and talking about the football team to get a good grasp on where they were. And so with what they saw and what I saw and what whoever else saw, we tried to make our most accurate predictions about this football team. But we didn't have, again, a good enough outlook on where this team was going to be because you couldn't see a lot of them. You just heard what the coaches say and you saw little glimpses of practice. But I think the biggest thing that you have to be disappointed in through 4 games of the football season is the quarterback. You weren't sold on the offensive line. The running backs have been solid, but they really don't have a lot of places to play. The wide receivers, yes, they've been good. They've had some drops, Trey Knox and some others. You've had some injury issues and stuff, but they haven't been awful. But I think the quarterback position, Phil, you're looking at a guy in Nick Starkel who threw 5 interceptions in one game, the most since 92, tied since the most. Ben Hicks, who really didn't get anything going, who was supposed to be just such an offensive savant when it comes to Chad Morris's system, and really didn't see that. And Nick Starkel, he had a really good game against Colorado State, but then just came back the next week and it was a fluke. So I think you have to be, that's where you start. And it's based on what you had last season and the fact that the coaches, the media members, and everyone else, including myself, was telling fans how much better this position group was. And through 4 football games, there should not be this small of a gap of improvement from last year to this year. It should be quite larger, Phil.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if you were to pick the one position that you thought they had the biggest upgrade, would have been quarterback and wide receiver. And you've seen some signs from Knox and signs from Burks that they're exactly what they're advertised to be. There have been some drops, and that'll happen though. But there have been a case of the dropsies here and there. But you did feel that coming into the season, your biggest upgrade, your biggest leap forward, or maybe the hope that this would be your biggest leap forward, because there really wasn't much of a start point from last season, was at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
And you wonder if what you saw against San Jose State is a speed bump for Nick Starkel, if that's indicative of how he's going to play. You knew he was going to take some chances because he's got the sort of arm to take those chances, but you got to make smarter throws. And, I would imagine that's – man, there's not a lot of games you throw 5 interceptions in one ball game. But then again, you don't want to be up there throwing 2 or 3 interceptions every game either. And this is something to pay attention to as you get into the meat of the schedule now. Is if Nick Starkel's riverboat gambler idea, with that sort of an arm, if he's going to take those risks that lead to more turnovers, that could be a huge issue moving forward.
And I don't care what anyone tells me. I don't care if it's a teammate. I don't care if it's Chad Morris. I don't care if it's another media member. This is the most important game for Nick Starkel in terms of his mindset. Now, you can say, oh, what about the Alabama, the Auburn, the Mississippi State senior day in Little Rock with Missouri? No. This is the game that he has had circled on his calendar since he decided to transfer to the University of Arkansas, going against his former teammates. It's one thing as a running back to do it, and that's a big deal for Rakeem Boyd, but he's gone through this already. Chad Morris, an alum of the Texas A&M, he's done that already. The emotions riding, coming off a 5-interception performance for Nick Starkel. How does he respond? Can he turn that into motivation, a motivation where he keeps his emotions in check? Because, again, he's going against his old teammates. He's going against a coach that elected to go with the other guy, Kellen Mond, over him as the starting quarterback. How motivated is he? How fired up is he? How ready is he to play in this football game on Saturday? But at the same time, keeps his emotions in check. Think back to Ryan Mallett in 2009 on the road against LSU. He leads that touchdown drive. They go down and score. They go up by 3. Then LSU, through bad call, by the way, that the refs missed, didn't get out of bounds. It was either didn't get out of bounds or got the first down, was given, one or the other. I think it was Spencer Ware. And they end up, LSU comes back, wins that football game. And Mallett talked about the difference between emotions from 2009 to 2010 on College Game Day. Can Nick Starkel channel his emotions and use them for success, use them from a positive standpoint? Because if he lets those things go, if those gets out of hand early, Phil, they have no chance in this football game on Saturday, and he is going to be distraught after what potentially could get blown out by his former team.
Halftime brought to you by Breeden RV in Van Buren. A chance to save thousands right now during the big RV show on a huge selection of new and used RVs, ATVs, UTVs, boats, and motorcycles. That's Breeden RV in Van Buren. Ask about the new 21-foot travel trailer starting at $999.5, and new fifth wheels up to 35% off. Everything new coming with Breeden RV's exclusive free maintenance for life. Go to BreedenRVs.com for more information. We'll come back. Halftime continues on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson. Follow them on Twitter at Phil Elson PXP and at Ty Sports Radio.
If you have experience transporting frozen and refrigerated goods and want to be part of a trucking family with insurance and be home every week, you need to contact Brent Higgins Trucking. Since 1997, Brent Higgins Trucking in Mulberry has been proudly delivering to and from various areas of the United States, including but not limited to Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Brent Higgins Trucking, where you're a name, not a number. Call them at 479-997-2366 or log on to BrentHigginsTrucking.com.
Do you hear that Coors Light being poured? It's the perfect temperature. How can I tell just based on the sound? I can't. But I can see that the mountain on the can is blue. And when the mountain is blue, your Coors Light is perfectly cold. Coors Light is cold lagered for a crisper taste, cold filtered for brightness and clarity, and cold packaged for peak refreshment. Doesn't that sound good? 2019 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Littleton's Paintless Dent Repair is your one-stop shop for all repairs. Paintless Dent Repair, door dings, unsightly dents, and hail damage repair, all repaired to like new conditions. With over 1 million repaired vehicles with satisfied customers, Michael Littleton is the expert in paintless repair. Littleton's Paintless Dent Repair, conveniently located 3 miles from the Arcoma exit off Highway 112. Or call 479-461-9764. Your number one Arkansas fan.
Your fence is more than a decoration. It's a reflection of its owner. Choosing a fence company should be done with integrity and quality in mind. The Fence Man has been providing fencing and security solutions for over 40 years. An in-house custom iron and gate department, plus an access control department. The Fence Man offers services other companies aren't equipped to do. The Fence Man, fencing and security solutions to protect what matters most. 479-782-3936 or online at thefencemancompany.com, a division of Quantum Property Services. Art's Barbecue and Burgers has the best burger in town. And every Saturday, enjoy any burger at Art's and get $1 off. Try Art's Bacon Cheeseburger, topped with house smoked bacon, or the Art Attack with bacon, ham, and a fried egg. And all of Art's burgers come with a mound of fresh cut fries, or upgrade to Art's homemade onion rings. $1 off all burgers every Saturday at Art's Barbecue and Burgers, 8203 Rogers Avenue, next to Aaron's in Fort Smith.
True Grit Running Company is where perseverance meets passion. Whether you're training for your next marathon or just comfortable shoes to keep up with your kids, we have the gear to help you reach your goals. With our slow motion gait analysis and our extensive product knowledge, we have the right pair of shoes for you. We also carry apparel, nutrition, hydration accessories, injury prevention gear, and recovery products. We offer classes, workshops, and group runs. Lace up, show up, and get your grit on. True Grit Running Company, 6808 Rogers Avenue, Suite B, behind Chick-fil-A.
ESPN 95.3. Halftime is brought to you by 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge. Upgrade your evening on the Avenue. You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
That's Hammonds. Has the edge, has the 50. Hammonds down the sideline. Inside the 20. He'll take it. Touchdown, Razorbacks. Hammonds breaks it. A 64-yard TD.
Get you set for Arkansas, Texas A&M, 11 in the morning on Saturday. Yours truly and Ty Richardson, will be on the air for Arkansas Game Day bright and early at 6 a.m.
Got
on
that alarm
Saturday.
set, buddy, already. You better set yours.
I am not used to that, Ty. I mean, you usually are up at you're almost awake before you go to sleep so that you're up for the morning rush where you produce the show. So, I mean, your body clock is ready to roll. I don't know what you got planned for Friday night, but knowing you're going to bed early so you can get up early.
I am not doing anything on Friday night. I've already determined that. I think I'm going to do something on Saturday, watch a lot of college football, but my social calendar on Friday night is going to consist of me going home, potentially watching a rom-com, and then getting to bed early, getting in the sheets early, Phil.
Well, we did air last night on ESPN Arkansas affiliates and HitThatLine.com, the Chad Morris radio show at the Catfish Hole. Got some sound to play from that. Now, I saw where they are practicing the entire week in the indoor facility, I guess to mimic some of the same factors that you deal with playing inside an indoor stadium. But, I mean, you want to talk about apples and oranges. I mean, AT&T Stadium is so big that although there's a roof on top of it, it almost still feels like you're outside. You know, in an indoor practice facility, the roof is a heck of a lot closer, and it's just more of an enclosed feel than it is inside AT&T Stadium, which for me, I mean, that's different than any other domed stadium in the country. This is just a humongous building, and I don't think you can mimic the conditions inside that stadium anywhere else. But yet they're still practicing all week indoors.
Yeah, here's Chad Morris on them practicing indoors and also changing up a few other things as well.
Well, I mean, I think that the biggest thing is, focusing on why the results happen like they did. The results are behind us. It's why and what happened. So our big focus has been on why. And, and so I think we did a little bit this week of changing some few things up, changed a few team meetings up, the way we do some things, and kind of get out of a little bit of a routine and move it inside. And so that's been part of the plan this week.
Phil, another addition to changing things up is Chad Morris confirmed last night on the indoors in the practice field that John Chavis is going back up top. And
now, wasn't he up there quite a bit last year too?
First 10 games of the year and half of the 11th game is what I got confirmed with Scotty. So,
well, I guess you get a better bird's eye view, from up there if you're calling out your alignments and your defensive plays. And to go back to what Morris is saying about trying to not focus on the results and figure out why those results happen. I honestly think it's overdone when people focus on speeches that coaches give, halftime speeches, stuff like that. You really got to pick and choose your spots as a head coach for when you have those big emotional moments that you're trying to make an impact with your team that they remember. And maybe some coaches do it week after week, but pick the right day for it. But obviously something's not quite right with how this team is coming out in the first half. And there's got to be, you're going to shake things up on how they're preparing, team meetings, going indoors, all that kind of stuff. For me, a lot of it's about how you communicate to these players. They've got game plans. They have scouting reports on everything that they've got to worry about facing week by week. But that doesn't have anything to do with the emotion that you come out with, the readiness that you come out with to play your absolute best. Because you can't say, there's nobody that could say, you look at how Arkansas has come out the first 4 games this year, that they have come out looking like they are ready to play their best. And that's not scouting reports. That's not bad play calling. That's not changing meetings up, this and that. That's a disconnect. That's a disconnect between those who are supposed to prepare these players to be ready to play emotionally and in a scheme way, and the players who need to feel like, they're going to come out and play their best. I put it on the athletes, but I put it on the coaches too. And now you're facing the best team that you played up until this point in Texas A&M, and it only gets tougher after that. So if they've had trouble coming out with fire against teams that they should quite honestly dominate in San Jose State and Portland State, what does that say against Texas A&M? What does that say against Alabama, against LSU, or even Kentucky on the road, Mississippi State? It doesn't portend very well.
Knowing this football team, they're probably going to go up like 14-0 in the first quarter, because anything that you predicted about this football team at this point of the season has probably been wrong. Phil, I know Tommy touched on this earlier this week. Kevin Kelly, head coach of Pulaski Academy, had this to say about the start of Razorback football. Whatever they're doing in preparation, they simply need to change it. It's not working, so try something else. Whatever these players are just not getting it. there is a talent discrepancy in this game towards Arkansas. So that is not the answers in this game. He was referring to the San Jose State game that Arkansas just lost this past weekend. And I know that there's a big gap between coaching college and coaching high school, but that guy knows what he's talking about when it comes to football. Pulaski Academy has been a powerhouse for I don't know how long, countless state championships. Rick Jones probably would have an idea or two over there at Greenwood about what he thinks about this football program and what they might need to adjust. And to a certain extent, I think they're right if they had more comments about that, because at this point in the season, Phil, and not just this season but last year, can you point to a game where Arkansas has just blown the doors off of the opponent? And another thing that intrigues me, if this is supposed to be the offense, the just destructive offense that we've heard about since Chad Morris, why aren't they asking for the football first like Bobby Petrino used to do? That was one of the things that Petrino said. And I know they got farther along than Chad Morris again. He's just in year 2. But he demanded a football. What did they do against Alabama, number 1 in the country, Alabama, when they came to Donald W? They got the football, 2 plays later, touchdown. Now, I know there's a lot of differences in that, but they wanted the football. They wanted to strike first. They wanted to put the pressure on the other team. In this case, with the lackluster defense to be shown so far, you're going to probably give up another touchdown. So why not, if you win the coin toss, take the football, bet on your offense, bet on Starkville in a revenge-type game, and see what happens. Because if you lose the toss or if you win and defer, you're probably going to give up a touchdown first, and that's just going to tell the story of the football game.
Well, Ty, I know the show's done in about 10 minutes. You've had those Coors Lights on ice. Are the mountains blue yet?
Man, they are blue, they are cold, and they are crisp. I mean, this is the best beer out there. They take pride in the process, going through the entire process of Coors Light. Cold lagered, cold filtered, cold packaged, cold everything. It's cold peak of freshness. That's why people enjoy it so much. You know that little icy, like when you open a beer, that little icy...
Ooh,
like
the beer
part
slush.
of it. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm talking about. You get that all the time when Coors Light. And Phil, as you mentioned, what do you always do when the mountains turn blue?
Well, you go for 2.
Exactly right, my man. Coors Light, made to chill.
Cherry on the top of halftime coming after the break on ESPN Arkansas and hitthatline.com.
The best midday show in the Natty State. You're listening to Halftime.
Hey hunters, fall hunting seasons are drawing near, and Jelco Outdoors has all the gear to make this year one to remember. Stop by and check out the bows, guns, stands, blinds, feeders, clothing, footwear, cameras, and so much more. Hurry in and start getting ready for fall at Jelco Outdoors, your premier locally owned outdoor store in the River Valley. Remember, a great hunt begins at Jelco Outdoors in Fort Smith.
Fall has arrived. Back to school, football games, hunting season, and we know that you don't have the time to deal with an auto accident. Let Evans Body Shop help you through the process from beginning to end. Our caring office staff will take care of the insurance details, and our dedicated shop crew will make sure that your vehicle is repaired properly and beautifully, and that you are back on the road in no time. Come meet us today and see why we say we meet the nicest people by accident. Visit with us at 412 Gordon Avenue in Van Buren, just off Fayetteville Road.
Evans Body Shop, where we meet the nicest people by accident.
You've worked hard your whole life anticipating the day you could finally retire. If that day is near, there are 5 things you need to do. Spend wisely, understand your retirement plan distribution options, plan for your required minimum distributions, know your Social Security options, and consider phasing. Call Brad Lewis at United Financial Advisors to discuss these steps in detail at 242-7466 or through our website at ufadvisors.net.
Securities and advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates, member FINRA SIPC. United Financial Advisors is a marketing destination.
Did someone say, I'm hungry? Visit 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge on the Avenue. Try the new panini sandwiches like the Chicken Pyro or the Cubana or the signature 906 wings. Jumbo wings roasted with honey bacon jam. Want some spice? Try the black and blue wings. Experience their salads, flatbreads, coffees and desserts, top shelf wines and liquors, premium beers, world-class cigars, all in an atmosphere that feels less like a lounge and more like a destination. Sample, indulge, escape. 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge. Treat your appetite on the Avenue.
Being the family superhero is a tireless job, constantly defending against skinned knees and sibling supervillains that won't share. But who's there for them if you're not? Your local Shelter Insurance agent. With an insurance superhero sidekick, you can find a life insurance plan that helps provide a safety net for your family. Find your insurance superhero at shelterinsurance.com. We're your shield. We're your shelter. Shelter Life Insurance Company, Columbia, Missouri.
Ask Shelter agents Marsha Cox or Phil Hicks about a free insurance review.
Have you been looking for your next place to call home and just haven't found the right one? Then it's time to check out the properties at Trinity Multifamily. With a variety of apartments, duplexes, townhomes, and houses, there is surely one to fit your needs. Whether it's in the River Valley, Northwest Arkansas, or Central Arkansas that you are looking at, they have you covered. Give them a call today. Trinity Multifamily, 479-452-1817. That's 479-452-1817. Or online at trinitymultifamily.com to search rental properties near you.
Was your roof damaged by recent storms? Don't fall victim to out-of-town contractors and fly-by-night repairmen. Trust the local roofing professionals at Able Roofing. Call their local number, 474-0006, for a free roof inspection. Never trust something as important as the roofing system on your home to a storm chaser. Able Roofing, 474-0006, will work with your insurance company. Call now for your free roof inspection, 474-0006. Able Roofing, the hometown roofers.
We've invented a new messaging system using the crisp sounds of Bud Light. Crisp Code, Football Edition. This is how you say, game tonight. Bring Bud Light. Fantasy fees are due. That's it for today.
Brewed with no corn syrup. Bud Light, crisp. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
ESPN 95.3.
Touchdown!
Halftime is brought to you by Supercuts, who supports local teams. Supercuts. We're super into the movement.
Yeah, they got it going on.
You're listening to Halftime with Phil Elson and Ty Richardson.
Well, the Bulldogs will kick it short, but they get it to McFadden back around the 7. He comes up to the 20, and he's off to the races. We were just talking about it. McFadden and Jones, they are mighty good, and McFadden shows it there. From the 7-yard line to the end zone, 93 yards for Darren McFadden. My goodness, they answer in a hurry.
Closing up shop here with a cherry on the top with Halftime on ESPN Arkansas. HitThatLine.com. We saw yesterday ESPN.com released their SEC Power Rankings, and Arkansas is ranked 12th out of the 14 teams, ahead of both Tennessee and Vanderbilt. So if you got an SEC team located in the Volunteer State, you're not doing very good. Tennessee lost to Georgia State, which beat Furman, but then also lost at Western Michigan and at Texas State. So not very good news there. Vandy's 0-3, the only winless team in the SEC. Though they've had a little bit of a tougher schedule than Arkansas at 2-2. So they've got Bama, Georgia, LSU top 3, Auburn, Florida A&M through 6, Mizzou, Mississippi State, Kentucky, Carolina 10th, Ole Miss 11th, and then the Razorbacks, the Volunteers, and the Commodores. You don't want to be at the bottom of that list, but, you were surprised that you're even 12th, Ty.
Yeah, and again, a pleasant reminder, Arkansas, according to ESPN's FBI, has the most difficult strength of schedule remaining in college football. How about that?
Won't find anybody to dispute that. All right, be with you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. For Ty, I'm Phil. Get up, get out, get better.
When was the last time you looked forward to